Welcome to Secrets of Stand-Up. I'm Rich Williams. I'm going to tell you everything I know about stand-up comedy so that you can become a better comic. I got Willie? He's crazy. I've got an interesting story for you, and then at the end, I'll give you the lesson from it. In 1999, January, at the CES, it's the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, they always have the Adult Video Awards. It's like the Oscars for that industry. And I did it for the second time after the Lewinsky scandal happened. And I think it was during the impeachment. I don't remember. I went out to visit LA for 5 days. I stayed with another comic. I gave him a ticket to the show and he let me sleep on a futon in his studio apartment. Very nice of him. Comics are always hooking each other up with a place to stay, place to crash. During that 5 days, I had one set booked at the Improv, but the other nights I was just going around and exploring. I went to this open mic at a barbecue joint called Smokin' Johnny's in Studio City on Ventura Boulevard. I get to the open mic, I'm there by myself. Outside of the comic that was letting me stay in the studio, I didn't know anybody else in LA. At this open mic, it was really a weird vibe that night. I could tell the host was on a bit of an ego trip. The host also ran the open mic. There weren't a lot of people. There were a lot of comics there. And I'm waiting for my turn. I'm trying to get a feel for, what LA comedy's like, this and that. And this Latino comic goes up. He also got the vibe that the host was being a little bit too much of a big shot. So this Latino comic starts making fun of the host. And the host doesn't like it. And they kind of start going back and forth. The host cuts him off and then bans him from the open mic indefinitely or forever, whatever. I'm the next comic up. So as the Latino comic and his friend are leaving, I go up and I defended him. I said, hey, this is an open mic. We shouldn't have egos here. This took major balls because I didn't know anybody. This is my first open mic in LA. I think it was the second night I was there. I'm we should put our egos to the side. This is a place to work things out. I know it's your show, but I don't think that it's right you're kicking him out and banning him from this. And so I get banned. And I'm like, oh, well, that sucks, but you got to stand up for your principles. So the Latino comic and his friend, also a Latino comic, and I'm saying Latino comic for a reason. They're like, hey, man, you're cool. Let's go to this place, Pink's, and get something to eat. The two comics were Gabriel Iglesias and Felipe Esparza. They were the first two comics I met in Los Angeles, outside of the guy I knew from, I did one show with the guy who was letting me stay at his place. So we go to this hot dog place, Pink's, very famous in LA. It's like a hot dog stand, but they serve all kinds of stuff. Gabe orders all this food, and I'm like, bro, this is not healthy. He's like, mind your own business, Widow. And we just sat there and talked about comedy for like an hour or two. And they're like, yeah, hit us up if you're coming back out here. I'm like, yeah, I'm moving out here in July. So I quickly got in with those two guys, and they were just starting out. I actually had more experience at the time because I had been doing the road. And when you're born and raised in Los Angeles or started off doing stand-up there, you probably, most comics in that scenario, they haven't done a lot of the road. They haven't experienced it. So I was more the elder comic at that time. Obviously, they way surpassed me in the stand-up world. I moved to LA, and I have their contact numbers, and this became my first comedy friend group. They put me in touch with another guy named Cat in the Hat. This very short black comic who wore these large Dr. Seuss hats. And it wound up, they would book me for all these shows. I would do the Latino shows that Felipe and Gabriel booked. I would do the Hollywood Park Casino. I think that's what it was called. It was an all-black show that Cat Williams ran, and it was amazing. I loved it. And then we would do some casinos together. I also was doing other things by the time I moved there. I was doing other shows. I started running shows. So it wasn't like we were the rat pack that traveled all the time. But they gave me work. And so what's great about it, being an outsider, I was the white guy. When I would do these shows, I didn't pander. And that's my advice to you. If you wind up going into an all black show or an all Latino show, don't pander. Don't apologize, unless it's part of your act, and I hope it's not. Don't apologize for being a white guy and, all that. It's an audience like any other audience. The only difference that I find is those types of shows, those audiences, if they don't like you, you will know it very quickly and very loudly. It is not good to bomb in an all-black room. But if they love you, you'll never hear laughs like that again. People howling, falling out of their literally falling out of their chairs, getting up and running out of the room. The other piece of advice is, regardless of, let's say you're a big headliner, don't headline those rooms if you're a white comic, male or female. It's a little bit different for female comics, but a lot of times going in as the white male comic, I'm kind of seen as like, this guy might be 5'0", or I'm the enemy somehow. Don't headline. I made that mistake before, and I know there's political correctness and all this other stuff, but here's the reality from my perspective. It's an all-black show, except for me. It's an all-black crowd, or same with all Latino. They want to see one of their own. They want to see a black comic headlining. That's the heart of the show. They want to see a Latino comic headlining. Because there's not as many. They're paying money to be entertained for the night. They had to get babysitters, call an Uber to get home. It costs money to go out and do those things. So go in and do an easy spot. Go be the middle or do a guest spot. Don't try to be Don't try to be the big name on the bill for these shows. I also did the Ha Ha Cafe. They used to have shows on Wednesday nights before they expanded to their second location. I think they have 2 locations now. And remember, Kim Whitley was so nice to me. They put me up, and I did really well because I'm not afraid of audiences. And like I said, it doesn't have to be all white for me to I make fun of people. And I find that black crowds, Latino crowds, they really enjoy that. And that's how I grew up. So they know that they could tell that it's out of respect. I'm not being malicious. And I remember, God, who was the football player there were like celebrities there at the Ha Ha on a Wednesday night. And on the weekend, it was karaoke club. There was no Ha Ha, they called it the Ha Ha Cafe, but they only had that one show on Wednesdays. And then I actually started doing a show on Fridays because Jack Azadorian, the owner, liked the Bill Clinton impression I did. So I booked shows on Friday nights. And then my roommate, TK, he started booking on Saturday nights with my friend Brian Burke. We helped turn the Ha Ha Cafe into a full-time comedy club. I'll never get the credit for that. You probably won't believe it. I don't care. What credit is that? If you could do those shows, definitely do them. If you're, one other thing that was great about it. The Latino shows and the black shows, they actually pay comics. The white shows, they're like, yeah, just go up. We'll make the money as producers. They were so generous. I remember Damon Williams. he put me up, he gave me a spot hosting in Chicago. I just happened to be traveling through when I was on the road, and paid me like $250 to host. I mean, there's all these opportunities out there that you don't realize. I used to get gigs in Visalia and Merced. It'd be like $200-300 for the night. I would do one and then the next. And when you're in LA, most spots don't pay. It's all to showcase so you can get exposure. That was one of the other things I really liked about the Black and Latino shows. I never got into the all Asian shows. That it didn't seem like there was that big of a market for that. But there were a number of us. Darren Carter was a comic who did a lot of those shows as well. Darren, if you watch this, I love you, buddy. Every time I ride my new bike, bling, bling. Venture out of your comfort zone. It's an audience like any other audience. They're going to be tougher on you. One time, I said this in a video before, I got booked at a casino in Compton by a guy named Bo Peep, and a comic named Bo Peep. He's very funny. I don't know what he's been up to. I've lost touch with a lot of these people. But the audience was booing me as I was walking to the stage. I'm like, come on. You guys aren't even giving me a chance. And I bombed. I just tanked because that was so unsettling to me. I'm like, how do I dig my hole out of they don't like me because I'm a white dude? There's no opportunity to dig myself out of that. So yeah, I love those times. I'm so happy that those three comics went on to have such major success. I look back on those times, it's like it doesn't even seem real because it was so long ago and I was so young compared to now. That's it. I hope you watched more of these. I make a video every day. It comes out 11 a.m. Eastern. I'm making 100 videos in 100 days. And Willie's been biting my hand this whole time. All right, I'll see you next time. You be nice. You silly goose. What do you think of this? Huh? A little flair? This way I can do the all gay shows. Huh? One important point I want to add. This video really only applies to white comics being the minority in the show. If it's a mixed show that's predominantly white, or an all-white show, any other minority group, you're not going to have any problems. You wouldn't if you're a white comic, you're not going to have problems at the black shows or Latino shows either. But it's definitely a different dynamic. And people can say, no, everybody's the same. Let's deal with reality, all right? So if you're a black comic and you can perform in the black clubs and the white clubs, you're at a total advantage. Same with being a Latino comic. It's called being a crossover success. I'm sure it's same with the Asian community and the Arab community. I know a lot of the Arab comics, the Axis of Evil tour, Ahmed, Aaron Cater, Maz Jabrani, my homies. So yeah, this is for a specific group of people that are watching my videos, but it should apply. I'm sure you can find little trips and tips. I'm trying to say tips. I'm sure there's something in this that can help you. Maybe the message that you take away from this is, hey, you know what? Stand up for other comics. It'll pay off in the end. Even if it doesn't pay off, stand up for other comics. It's what you should do. Stand up for what you think is right without making a gigantic episode out of it. All I did was say, hey, I don't think you should abandon them. I think you should check your ego. And I got evicted. So what? Who cares? There's other open mics. I'd rather be me. I got to be me all those years for all that time. I have no idea what the host is doing now. Hopefully he's successful. Hopefully he had a change of heart. Hopefully he realized all his dreams and stopped with the pettiness. But who knows? Thanks again.